Ciao guys, welcome back to the ARTFUL podcast. It's Matteo, your host. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below. Let's grow this art community together. And no further ado, let's go on with a new episode. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good as well. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for setting this up.
Oh, now, of
It's
course.
it's nice
Yeah.
to see you face to face.
Yeah, I know. It's always a bit weird. A random message on Instagram if you want to be part of like some random stuff. Yeah. So it is.
Right.
I'm glad when artists are like a really kind and yeah, they want to share their time with me. So I appreciate that a lot.
No problem. No problem. Always happy to share. Always ready to share.
Yeah. It's always good to
Yeah.
talk about art anyway. So yeah.
So,
So guys, welcome back to the ARTFUL podcast. In this new episode, we have Eddie with us. I was admiring and a little bit of stalking his painting a couple of days ago, and I asked him to be part of the podcast, and he kindly said yes. Love your portrait, your style of paintings, fantastic paintings, and yeah, welcome Eddie to the podcast.
thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity.
Perfect. Let's start with just a general introduction, a little bit of your background for people that might don't know you, and yeah, then we can just start from there.
Right. So my name is EDDY. I'm a visual artist. I'm a painter, and more specific, a hyperrealism painter. So my work is quite realistic. That's what people know it for a lot of times.
Mm,
Um, I paint faces a lot, and people, just doing different things, different postures and whatnot. But the main thing is my subjects are mostly people. It's because I'm really inspired by, the depth of knowledge and experience and views of life that there is in people. For any random person you meet, there's always a story they have. There's
mm,
always an experience that they have that's very different from what you've had. And you bring a collection of that and you have endless stories to tell and you have different experiences, based on childhood, based on the environment, based on influence, so many other things. So that's why majorly my paintings focus on people. Yeah.
amazing. Okay, let's as you start a little bit talking about that. What is interesting you about this people? For example, big part of what I do, which is portrait, it's I want to tell a story through my paintings, through my drawings of a
Right.
person. And I need the connection with the person. So I need to know a little bit of the person. I need to talk to the person before I start drawings because that's my aim with my painting. So I want to, yeah, tell a story with my painting. Um,
Right.
you kind of said similar. Is that what you was it driven for you for painting?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I do that as well because with faces and with portraits or figurative art, you ideally try to sell a story through this model, this figure,
Hmm.
So pretty similar pretty similar to what you have said. I like to tell stories of sometimes real existing people who have real stories,
Hmm.
So having that connection, having a conversation, having an experience with them goes a long way in inspiring a piece of art. Other times, I may also use a different approach where I have I have like a theme or a conversation I want to bring out in my work, and so I will just use very random muses or models to sort of pose, but to carry the main idea that I had in the first place.
I
Yeah,
see. So is that
right.
in that case you're gonna use the composition and the whole portrait to tell that
Yeah,
story, to help you to tell that story.
e-
Fantastic.
exactly.
Hmm.
Right.
And how do you choose the subject in particular? So if you wanna um, paint somebody, why is that person lucky enough to get your painting?
Um, Two ways I go about this. Mainly, if I've had a connection with someone or conversation, the artwork will be based on them. So that's why their face
Mm,
particularly appears there. But when it comes to my own inspiration, my own idea, the face would not necessarily matter if it's one specific person. I could just speak a friend of mine. I could
mm.
pose myself, or any other person I have access to.
I see. I see. Um,
Right. Yeah.
I so how do you approach like I'm a practical person. I like to explore a little bit with the artist every time that I talk with somebody, how they actually like practically start a painting and finish a painting. Because I think it is good for all to the audience to actually understand the process, which sometimes you don't see it. You just see the final product in exhibitions, and you don't really know what's behind, what's the
Right.
backstage.
Right.
So how do you start from blank canvas to, a finish painting that you're happy with?
Right. The process of painting is, one part of my work that I really enjoy.
Mm,
Seeing this piece transition from a blank canvas to a complete finished piece. I love the process. So ideally, how it goes is, um, I stretch my own canvases. So I have this big roll of canvas that I stretch by myself, and then you put a layer of gesso or primer just to have it
yeah.
firm, and to prevent paint from seeping to the other side of the canvas, just to give you a nice, good surface to work on. The next step for me is normally to sketch, and I do this sometimes freehand, or sometimes I'll just use a very simple grid to sort of help
Mm,
me to know where to put the subject in reference to the space that I'm working in. So after sketching, I will do a very basic layer of acrylic paint, just blocking colors. Where there's light, you put light, no definition, no detail. So, and that's the first step,
mm,
when applying paint. And then from there, I will pick it up with oil paints. So I have a range of brushes from the very thick ones to the very tiny ones, because uh, my my work is majorly detail oriented. So as the painting progresses, as I start, I use the very thick brushes, and as it progresses, the brush becomes smaller and smaller until the final stage. I'm working with a very tiny brush. I don't know. Uh, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but there's the hair brushes that are very tiny and long bristles. That's
I
normally,
see. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's just layering upon layering as the brushes get smaller. That's pretty
That's
much the process for me.
that's good. Why is there that you're really interesting like in details? Go really deep into the details of the face because it's not a usual thing. There's a lot of like artists they just you know they don't really care and they don't really go into much into details.
Right. So I think the idea to go into hyperrealism and into detail came
Mm,
when I was studying my undergraduate School of Art here in Kenya, Kenyatta University. So there's an instructor of mine that was doing realistic work, like landscapes, paint, portraits, still life. They were just very realistic in the way he
Mm.
approached it. And that's the first time I encountered a realistic piece in person, and it was so striking to me. I really loved it. It's like I fell in love with it immediately, like this. And so I think it was just in me to pick it up and define it for myself and make it my own. So from what I learned from my instructor, I took it a notch higher in terms of details, and went a little further to include pores on the skin or skin texture or the
Mm.
texture of fabric and whatnot, just to bring out the whole striking facade of a piece, to sort of command you, or rather, from what I experienced even the first time, if I was passing and I glance at it, the piece is almost ordering you to stop and look at it,
Hmm.
and engage with it, have a conversation with it,
And every time you
So
find like new details to look at it, and yeah.
exactly. So I do that for that purpose, so that you can maybe call to someone to pay attention to the piece.
Mm.
Once you see it, you want to get closer. You want to ask, so who's this subject? And it's so detailed, But the fact is that you see it, you have to engage with it. So that's primarily why I go the direction of detail in
Is
that
that
instance.
you touch a little bit right now saying the audience looking at your paintings, and how is that relationship with the audience that you have when you do exhibitions? Do you enjoy a little bit like the process? Because most of the artists are a little bit shy. They don't really want to talk about their paintings or the art. Um, how do you, yeah, how do you navigate that whole process with the person?
I like engaging with my audience. I like
Mm.
engaging with anyone who is seeing my paintings, uh, because I like to see also how they interpret the work. What they have to say about it, what they think about it. Sometimes you even get ideas from the feedback you get from
Mm.
your audience. Or you get an idea even for the next piece. I like the engagement. The feedback is nice. The conversation is nice, and it's a process I always look forward to.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I saw that obviously yeah, you're quite active also as well, like on social media, on online,
Mhm.
and you have a pretty big following as well. Like, how did you whole start the whole? Unfortunately, fortunately, in many ways as well, this whole
Mhm.
like new aspect of art marketing yourself in social media world, which can be a little bit too much, a little bit stressful for some
Right,
people. And I to be honest, I quite enjoy it. I like to share. I like to keep even people like motivated to draw. And I try to post every day and about drawings and about try to engage about conversation about art as well.
right,
I quite enjoy. I quite use it, and I use it as well for my business because nowadays it's most of my commissions they come from social media. People see
right,
um what you do and they like it, they like your style, and they contact you there, and you just do everything through social media. How is that
right.
aspect of your for you?
Social media. I did when I was starting my social media presence. It was just a platform for me to put my work there. I didn't really
Hmm.
care who's watching, or I wasn't very specific to grow a following. It was just a place to, oh, I've done this. Have a look, and
Yeah.
move on to the next piece. And I was consistent in it, and with time, people got to view, to share, and that's how the following grew over the years. It's been a long time, so sometimes I would lose track, of
Hmm.
the following, because it's not anything that I'm specifically particular about. I'm just all about sharing my work. Like, hey, there's a new piece here. Enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
just
like
the
it.
main.
I
And
hope you like
if
it. Yeah, have a look at it. Let me know what you
yeah,
think.
if you're exactly, and if you're interested, please reach out.
Mm,
So that's pretty much how it grew. I didn't have any specific aim to grow the following. I guess it just came with time and as people shared. But I like to say it's a very nice platform to share work
mm,
because you have access to literally the rest of the world, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah, of course. Yeah,
anyone can see your work from any corner of the earth. And that's a beautiful thing. So I use it to my advantage also to just share it because opportunities come from there. You meet amazing people like you right now. See how we got to meet through social media,
yeah,
you know,
true,
and,
true.
and and collectors and galleries and so many other interested parties. So it's a beautiful platform. I would encourage any creative person to just use it to their advantage and share the work.
Yeah, it's one of those things that there is so many obviously down thing about social media and how people are kind of getting disconnected from reality because of it. But if you use it like in a good way and you kind of like you just use it for fun, for the fun of it, could be a great tool, especially for artists that they don't need to go through galleries anymore. They don't need to go through the whole process, the really old school process of selling your artworks through other people. There is that this third person between you and the audience. You can sell directly. And uh,
That's true.
even
That's true.
yeah, even just no even not even just selling, even just exhibiting in a way your artwork. You don't need
Right.
the gallery anymore. You need just a social media present, and you can share in a way your artwork with technically billions of people. Like yeah, so
That's true. It's like social media is kind of like the new gallery.
yeah, the new gallery, exactly. Uh, yeah, you have to say it like that as well because it's part of like the everyday life now. It's not going
Right.
anywhere as well. So yeah, might as well use it in a good way. Um,
Right.
I was going through. It might be a little bit off topic this question, and obviously,
Sure.
but I was going through your Instagram, and there is a little of um, how can I say the um connection between all your subjects. It's about black people, their life and
Mhm.
what they experience, and um why do you feel like it's that's your voice, that's what you want to explore with your paintings? Is there a specific reason, or is it just because that's what you connect to, that's what you want to represent, and yeah, that's all, or is there a specific reason behind?
That's a brilliant question. For me, it's just all about sharing my environment,
Mm,
what I observe, what I interact with, uh, what I relate with. That's what I'm able to share easily, to share with knowledge about, because it's very relatable. So this is what I can very easily channel out to. Hey guys, this is my community. This is where we are. This is how we do things. This is how we look. We're beautiful
mm,
like this. You know, so it's just basically putting a mirror to the world, you know, to show them like, hey, this is my community, this is my environment, and this is how we live, this is how we do things. It's pretty simple.
fantastic. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
In a way, it really pops in when artists like you have that focus, and understandably so, because obviously that's what you want to represent, and like with your portrait, and
Mhm.
it pops out, and you notice that because if you think about when you go to museums and galleries in general, these big museum, they don't really have that difference of people in paint, like in paintings represented in paintings.
Right,
It's and obviously there is so much uh, now out of like this African art and African artists, they exhibit and they want to represent this part of what their community is, which
right.
is I feel like yeah, it's gonna change, and it's interesting for me especially
Mhm.
because I have an African girlfriend. She's from Zambia, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, we've been together for many years now.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, we met in England, and yeah, that's why we got together. And
Okay,
um, she she was not really into art. Of like, she's an accountant. She's completely different from me. Um,
right.
so when we start going through museums and like because I was like, oh, let me show you what I like, what's my passion, and that's what I do. So
Mhm.
we start bringing to museum, and that's something that she noticed, and she said it to me, and I was like, oh right, yeah, that's now obviously you never think like that, and
Mhm.
the representation even in museum it's kind of missing, and
Right.
is not there even now, and yeah, that's why like I noticed that through your Instagram and yeah in general, and I like to ask the question. It can be a little bit heavy question, but
It's okay.
um
I totally understand. I totally understand, and it's
yeah, I'm
perfectly
curious
fine.
to see to talk about this stuff with yeah people that live
Right.
their experience.
Yeah. And ideally, we hope for, a better representation for uh, art and artists from our communities,
Hmm,
in Africa. We hope for the better, as we progress, as
for
more
sure.
artists, we hope for better representation. Maybe one day we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and the reason I feel like the um as well like African art the whole um it's a really on demand right now. It's everybody's super interesting about that kind of art, and it can be a trend which sometimes people they just jump in on it and they don't have the right mindset, and but it's good for at the end of the day it's good for more for more people to see that those paintings, and yeah,
Totally agree. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, yeah, oh sorry, I was just curious about because yeah I noticed in your work. It's good.
No.
um let's see what about um you didn't have any studies as an artist? Yeah, do you go
Oh,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
university, art school?
Yeah, yeah. So, I think I started out quite early, the interest in art. When I was in primary school, um, I don't know what's the equivalent of that
Hmm.
in your side, uh, but it's a lower level of education. I had the interest to just draw things, scribble things on paper, very
Hmm.
random things, a flower here, a car there, a bottle of water, just drawing random things. And as I progressed through school, went to high school after that, we had art and design as a subject. And I was like, I'm gonna take that for sure. I'm gonna take that as a subject for sure. And I loved it. That's the first formal introduction of art to me, and it was great. I excelled in it, got a good feel of drawing and proportions and the basic principles of art, which solidified even my knowledge of art. And then from high school, I went into university, where I did a bachelor's degree in art and design. So this is where I went deeper into painting. I learned about art history and how the galleries work,
Mm.
things like representation and how to talk about your work, how to represent yourself, uh, and so many things around uh, the brand of an artist.
Mm.
And so from there is when I just started practicing. I finished my undergraduate in 2017, and since then I've just been practicing. So
Oh, that's
doing,
yeah, that's good. That's pretty recent still.
yeah.
How were those first years of struggling artist living the artist life? Um, how were for you?
Oh, those were tough for sure.
Mm.
those, those were tough. But I know most artists understand that phase of being
Yeah.
an artist. It's tough because first of all, you're trying to figure out what style you're good at. You don't even have an identity yet. You don't know so many things. You don't know any
Mm.
gallery, any collectors. You're just struggling to make a name for yourself. I've I've been there a few times and I understand the struggle. Um, it happened quite a lot from the time I finished my university degree.
Mm.
Maybe some 4 or 5 years where I was really putting in the effort, putting in the work, but there's nothing much that's coming out of it. It can be
Yeah,
discouraging at times,
yeah. Yeah,
It can be
it
discouraging at
yeah,
times,
it takes time till
yeah, and
yeah,
it can suck the life out of you if if you focus on the negativity of it. But fortunately, I was just resilient.
mm,
Uh, the encouragement of the people around me, I was able to just maintain and focus and work, even when I was not seeing any results coming out. So I would go to exhibitions, I put up my work, they look nice, but no sales, So you go back with your losses and you do an art fair here, then you take your paintings, they're nice, but again, no sales. But what I realized is over time, people are watching you. So
mm,
someone is keeping track. Also, you did an exhibition here, and then an art fair here, and then you did this, and then you collaborated with this. It's like, okay, I like your progress. Let me reach out now. Show me what you have.
mm,
You
true,
know,
true.
it
Yeah, they
really
always
it counts.
come.
It
Yeah,
counts to just keep working, even when you're not seeing anything, because at the end of the day, it's gonna count. All these pieces you've been working on, they will come in handy at the point where now you're being recognized and people are looking out for you. They'll need what you've been working on over the years. But if you stop working because you're not seeing anything, there wouldn't be much to show, even after the long period of struggle. So it's very
true.
important to keep going.
True. Yeah, it's I love your positive thinking and vibe. Like, yeah, the struggle obviously it's there and it's gonna be there for a while. As an artist,
Mhm.
especially, it's you need to keep going and keep doing it because it's one of those things that it takes time. It takes time even for like finding your voice, which is I think is the hardest thing that you can do as an artist.
That's
It's
true. That's true.
find your voice, find what you want to represent with your
Mhm.
painting, with your drawings, whatever it is, and
Mhm.
that takes time because you need to grow and you need to, yeah, you just need to grow and experience life, and then the whole connects with your art at some point.
That's true. Let me also add this that it's not only in art, but in any field you take up right now. If you start a business right now, it's going to
Mm.
take you time. You'll experience failure. You'll second guess yourself. You'll wonder, am I doing the right thing? What's going on here?
Mm.
There'll be a lot of doubt, along the way. But it's only those who are strong enough to persist that make it out on the other side.
Yeah,
So it's a
yeah.
it's a it's a general principle, whether it's in art or business or any other field.
Yeah, those voices in your head, they are not gonna go anywhere, especially at the
Oh,
beginning.
right.
They're there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think with I don't want to take too much time of your day, and would I think that we can end this. This was a beautiful hand. Would you like to plug your website or your Instagram, anything that you're doing right now, your future project, if you have any exhibition coming up, and yeah.
All right. So, what I'm working on right now, there's a new series I'm doing. It's called Covered Up. So it's models or muses, covered in a plastic bag, and there's water droplets. Quite interesting. You might
Mm,
see it around in the coming days. Different pieces. Highlighting the same idea. And then later on in the year in November, I'll be having an exhibition in London by Taffeta Gallery. So
okay,
that's
amazing.
something I'm looking forward to. Um, Aside from that, it's just creating one piece after another. That's what I'm all about, you know.
Mm.
Sure, my creativity reaches out to the world and encourages someone out there who's starting, who's in the struggling stage, who's made it, whichever place you're at. I'm just here to share the work, to have someone enjoy the pieces. That's just what I'm all about.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I will those I love those vibes. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to be part of the podcast. I will put all the links in the description for your Instagram and your website. And so please people go and follow Eddie's work, and yeah, it's great painting. So why not?
Right,
Don't
let me say
forget.
something. I,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
forgot something. You mentioned about my social media website. My
Oh
website is
yeah.
under construction right now, so it's not ready yet. But
Okay.
when it's up, I'll definitely post it on my social media. So the place where you can find me easily is my social media handles. This is Eddie Bauer, EDDYBEUER. You'll find the same handle on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitter. Just search, reach out, let's share, let's engage, and continue pushing the creativity.
Yeah, let's build this art community. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eddie, to be part of the podcast. It was a fantastic episode. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.